For many years, the Sith would once again rule the galaxy, with Emperor Palpatine and his apprentice Darth Vader at the forefront of the Galactic Empire. However, Palpatine would create an order within this empire known as the Inquisitorius. These Inquisitors would be enforcers of the Sith's rule, consisting of former Jedi given the choice to turn to the dark side and serve Palpatine's designs. Their main purpose would be to hunt the remaining Jedi that narrowly survived Order 66. Despite being the creation of the Emperor, this division would be ruled and managed by Darth Vader, with the head of the Inquisitors being the Grand Inquisitor, a position given to a former Jedi Templar Guard. Now, while the exact number of Inquisitors was not revealed to the wider galaxy, there could have been as many as 19. In this video, we'll be covering every Inquisitor we know of in canon, even if their name isn't exactly mentioned. Being the longest surviving Inquisitor we're currently aware of, and possessing quite a bit of prowess with a lightsaber, as well as decent piloting skills, Merrick would be assigned the title of First Brother. The First Brother would join the Empire during its genesis in 19 BBY, joining the Grand Inquisitor on the oceanic moon of Nur. This is where their primary headquarters would reside. Within Fortress Inquisitorius, Merrick, among other Inquisitors including Barriss Offee, who we'll cover later in the video, would kneel before their new master, Darth Vader. After the fall of the Galactic Empire, Merrick would be employed by the Night Sister Morgan Elsbeth to locate the map to Peridia, where Grand Admiral Thrawn was stranded, the very being who would restore the might of the former Empire. In 9 ABY, Merrick would duel Ahsoka on Corellia, where he demonstrates his efficiency with a lightsaber, even putting up a decent fight against Ahsoka Tano, who we know possesses a great deal of power and was trained by Anakin Skywalker himself. However, Merrick would meet his end at the Blades of Ahsoka in a dense forest on Satos, exterminating the last of the Inquisitors. The next Inquisitor is also quite gifted in the Force herself, being dubbed by the Empire as the Second Sister. She was formerly known as the Jedi Trilla and was apprenticed to Seer Junda, a powerful Jedi Knight at the Temple on Coruscant before Order 66. Once the Clone Wars ended and the rise of the Empire began, the former Master and Apprentice would stay in hiding while protecting Jedi younglings who also survived the Purge. However, Seer would be discovered and captured by Imperials, and taken to Fortress Inquisitorius after leading them away from her Padawan's position. This is where Seer is eventually forced to provide the location of Trilla and the younglings, resulting in their capture as well. It is here where Trilla would become an Inquisitor, falling to the dark side, much to the chagrin of Seer, who briefly embraces the dark side herself out of anger, which also helped her in escaping. The Second Sister was very talented with a lightsaber, much like Merrick, and utilized a unique lightsaber staff that could rotate in a 360-degree motion at high speed, a common lightsaber design choice for Imperial Inquisitors. In 14 BBY, Second Sister would begin her hunt for the Jedi Padawan Cal Kestis, beginning on Braca, where Cal worked as a scrapper while in hiding after the betrayal of the clones during Order 66 and the death of his master Jaro Tapal. The two would briefly engage in a duel where Cal is rescued by Seer and Grease Dritus of the Mantis. However, they would once again meet on the planet Zepho near the tomb of Migtril, where Trilla reveals her true identity to Cal, telling him the story of Seer's betrayal. After another short duel, Cal manages to escape again, this time with the help of BD-1. Though as he progresses through the tomb and attempts to contact Seer to discuss what he just learned, Trilla showcases her proficient ability of rerouting communications, stating she learned it from her former master. She would shortly thereafter learn of Cal's business on Kashyyyk with Saw Gerrera, promptly arriving there and attacking rebels and insurgents she came across, desiring information on the Padawan's potential whereabouts. In the Jedi Fallen Order Dark Temple comic series, we learn that Trilla would arrive on a planet named Antotho, where she had been informed of a Jedi's presence. The target did indeed possess a lightsaber, though it was quickly revealed that she was no Jedi, using a blaster that was easily counteracted by the Second Sister's armor and talent with her own lightsaber. After severing the aged woman's arm, she demanded information on where she had found the Jedi weapon. The woman revealed that she had found it in a temple she was sure that the Inquisitor would not locate, though this resulted in her death and Trilla's eventual discovery of said temple. Here she finds a datapad in a dilapidated droid's hand, coming to the conclusion that it was the property of Eno Cordova, the master of Seer. Reading the last entry and learning that it was unfinished, she orders her troops to begin preparations for her arrival on Bogano, where she once again encounters Cal Kestis. After Cal is distracted using psychometry on Trilla's lightsaber, he learns more about how her and Seer have suffered, allowing the Second Sister to escape with the holocron containing the list of future Jedi needed to rebuild the Order. After one final encounter with Cal after a moderately longer duel in Fortress Inquisitorius, Trilla would be defeated by Kestis and approached by Seer, who returns her former Padawan to the light, though only for her to be terminated by an arriving Darth Vader.
You have failed me, Inquisitor.
Avenge us!
Now, there was a third brother that existed within the ranks of the Inquisitorius, though we know very little about him. However, we have a fairly ambitious character who is also, quite frankly, completely reckless given her reasons. This, of course, being Reva, who was given the title of Third Sister. While not showcasing any particularly impressive skill with the lightsaber, she does possess a talent for mind probing, something Kylo Ren was also known for. Something unique about Reva is her true motive for joining the Inquisitorius, that being revenge on Darth Vader, who she knew, being one of the few, was former Jedi Knight Anakin Skywalker, as she was one of the younglings in the Jedi Temple during Operation Nightfall. Having witnessed Anakin cut down the only family she knew, backed by the 501st Legion, who had once been entrusted by the Jedi, she gained immense hatred for the newly made Sith. Though before we get to the encounter with Vader, let's cover her journey to that point where we first see her on Tatooine in 9 BBY with the fifth brother and the Grand Inquisitor. As the Inquisitorius here would locate another Jedi, who is then pursued by fifth brother, the Grand Inquisitor chastises Reva over her obsession with finding Obi-Wan Kenobi, who of course trained Anakin at the Jedi Temple. A fact Reva is no doubt aware of, given that she also trained at the temple as a Jedi initiate as the Clone Wars waged on. Later on, while still on Tatooine, the third sister and fifth brother would arrive in the town of Anchorhead, where Reva cuts off a town person's hand for vocalizing disdain at the Empire's presence on the planet. She also confronts Owen Lars, threatening him and everyone else that there would be consequences for harboring Jedi, and lying about not knowing of their possible location. At some point after leaving the desert planet, Reva would hire bounty hunters to capture Leia Organa, having apparently known that Obi-Wan and Bail Organa were friends, and that Bail might potentially contact Kenobi to lure him out, which is of course what happened, the epitome of dumb luck in Reva's desperate situation. Kenobi would rescue Leia on the planet Daiyu, where Reva also informs Obi-Wan that Anakin is alive, before he escapes with Leia. After even more chastising from the Grand Inquisitor, Third Sister stabs him through the abdomen and eventually takes his spot as Grand Inquisitor, though only temporarily. Nevertheless, on Mapuzo, Reva would witness Vader finally confront Kenobi for the first time since Mustafar, where he lured him out by killing innocent civilians in the village. She would then leave the two of them and head for Leia once more, capturing her after following a passage leading to a ship in a safe house belonging to the Hidden Path, a secret network dedicated to aiding Force sensitives escape the reach of the Empire. However, she would once again fail Vader after Obi-Wan, with some help, frees Leia from Fortress Inquisitorius. Fortunately for Reva, she manages to impress the Dark Lord by tracking the targets to Jabim, using Leia's droid. It is here where she is briefly given the rank of Grand Inquisitor. This doesn't last long, as I mentioned, because soon after, following a rushed exchange with Kenobi, Reva would attempt to attack Vader, though he is utterly embarrassed as he doesn't even use his own lightsaber to defeat her. This is also where the true Grand Inquisitor returns to mock Reva once again after she is impaled by Darth Vader, much like she was as a youngling at the temple. She survives once again, and using a damaged communications device left by Kenobi with a message from Bail Organa, arrives back on Tatooine where she attempts to kill a young Luke Skywalker. Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru put up a greater fight than expected, however Reva ultimately manages to find Luke after his aunt and uncle advise him to run away as far as possible towards Beggar's Canyon. After everything, she is unable to kill the boy and is then approached by an arriving Obi-Wan Kenobi, who tells her that she didn't fail, and instead of turning to the dark side and embracing it like Vader, she brought peace to her fellow younglings from back at the temple by sparing Luke. Subsequently, she puts down her lightsaber and chooses a path of freedom. Following Reva, we have the fourth sister, also known as Lyn, though she makes it clear that this name means nothing to her anymore. After Order 66, she would willingly turn to the dark side, joining the Inquisitorius, and would also help recruit Barriss Offee. It's important to mention that Offee would soon leave the ranks of the Empire after witnessing cruelty at their hands, leaving Lyn behind. Before we finish the fourth sister story with Barriss, she would accompany Reva, fifth brother and the Grand Inquisitor, to Daiyu in 9 BBY in search of Kenobi as I mentioned before. The fourth sister would once again meet Barriss Offee on her mission to hunt down a Force-sensitive child on an icy planet, learning that Barriss had become a healer after returning to the light side. Using her anger, she attempted to strike Barriss down, though Offee would evade every attack, stalling and allowing the child enough time to escape with his family. After Barriss allows Lyn to pass through into the cave ahead, she issues a warning that she would get lost without guidance. This is of course ignored by Lyn, and she rushes ahead, too late to capture her target and becoming lost as her former friend predicted. However, Barriss would follow her and offer guidance if she dropped her weapon, but Lyn would lash out in anger and accidentally plunge her lightsaber into Offee. Forgiving a regretful Lyn, Barriss tells her she needs to leave behind the Empire and become her true self once more. Following the advice and guidance of her friend, she leaves behind her lightsaber and carries Barriss Offee towards the direction of the exit. The fate of both Lyn and Barriss is uncertain, though both seemed fully redeemed by the end of this journey, having put the life of the Inquisitorius behind them. Perhaps one of the more unyielding and loyal to the Empire among the Inquisitorius, the fifth brother would willingly join this division after Order 66. As a Jedi, he believed the Order had lied to him and felt as though he had to serve politicians who he believed to be corrupt, instead of serving the Force itself. This would especially be the case after they demonstrate the fact that they cared more about using his home planet's resources to help other lives around the galaxy as opposed to helping those native to the very planet providing the resources. During training with Darth Vader, the fifth brother would lose his right hand. This is something Vader did to many Inquisitors, taking limbs due to his hatred of them, as well as the lesson it would provide in teaching them loss, something he was all too familiar with. On a mission to hunt down Eth Koth, fifth brother would follow Vader, along with other Inquisitors I'll go over later on, to the Jedi's location. As Vader dueled Koth, the Inquisitor began searching for the Jedi's Force-sensitive child, eventually discovering it, though I'll cover this more when I reach the aforementioned Inquisitors who traveled with the fifth brother. Somewhere between 12 and 11 BBY, the fifth brother would be tasked with acquiring the Shroud, a cloaking device that makes the user undetectable for most sensors and technology. The Empire believed this could be used to help rid the galaxy of the remaining Jedi who survived. However, the Inquisitor would come across the crew of the Mantis on Mercana, a planet formerly aligned with the Separatist Alliance before the Empire took control. Here, the fifth brother duels with Cal and Seer, where Seer attempts to convince the fifth brother to return to the light, though he makes it clear that his dark path is set in stone. Despite Seer dismantling the Inquisitor's lightsaber with the Force, he would pull her own lightsaber into his hand and slash at a defeated Cal, though Grease would step forward and take the blow for his friend, losing one of his forearms in the process. Fifth brother would continue to pursue the crew until they arrive on Hosnian Prime, where he would face Cal once again, as well as Night Sister Marin, though the two would manage to flee. After the events of the Kenobi series, following the story of the third sister, which I covered earlier, the fifth brother would be ordered to hunt down a cell of rebels based on Lothal, this of course being the crew of the Ghost. He would travel to an abandoned Republic medical station where he unexpectedly comes across the seventh sister, both targeting Ezra Bridger, Sabine Wren, and Zeb Aurelios, as they attempt to gather supplies. Sometime after failing to eliminate Bridger at the medical station, he would once again come into contact with Ezra along with his master Kanan Jarrus and Ahsoka Tano while on the planet Takobo. The fifth brother and seventh sister attempt to capture Force-sensitive children across different planets, but on Takobo they encounter Zeb and the two Jedi. After dispatching of the three Spectres, they are surprised by an approaching Ahsoka exiting the spaceport. In spite of their defeat at the hands of Tano, they learn of the rebels' hiding spot on Gorel. However, before traveling there, they suffer another loss against Kanan and Ezra on the icy planet of Bilzin, failing to capture the Jedi once more. Fifth brother even gets put in his place by Admiral Constantine of all people, a scene that really captures the fact that the Inquisitors are fairly unreliable and inefficient in most of their efforts.
You doubt my word, Admiral?
No, Inquisitor. I merely look to the day when you produce results.
Even though the Imperials would succeed in driving the rebels from Gorel, the Inquisitors fail once again at actually seizing the Jedi. After many more failed attempts, in the year 3 BBY, the fifth brother would finally meet his end on Malachor at the hands of Maul. Moving on, we have the sixth brother, an Inquisitor that formerly went by the name of Bill Valen. He would lose his left forearm to Vader, being one of the Inquisitors I mentioned earlier that lost a limb to the Dark Lord. And because of this, his fighting style was far more aggressive than it had been when he was a Jedi. In 18 BBY, on a mission to Mon Cala led by Vader, the sixth brother would join the ninth sister and 10th brother in searching for a Jedi who had been counseling King Li Char regarding negotiations with the Empire. They would soon make it to the palace after cutting down many guards, both Mon Calamari and Quarren, where the ninth sister would begin questioning the king. However, they are interrupted by two large aquatic creatures, and despite being incapacitated, Li Char is rescued underwater by his loyal military force. The Inquisitors and Vader survived, and using ninth sister's information on the Jedi's whereabouts, they head to his location. With Vader leaving the Inquisitors to deal with the Jedi so he can capture the king per Tarkin's request, they face off against Jedi Farron Bar, where he orders the Imperial squad of clones to execute Order 66. The clones subsequently turn on the Inquisitors, who were once Jedi, resulting in the ninth sister and sixth brother struggling to fend them off after the 10th brother is shot down. They fight their way through, but the sixth brother cuts off ninth sister's right leg, leaving her behind as a distraction so he can escape. Later on, he would travel to the moon of Rada, where he intended on finding a Force-sensitive child to apprehend for the Empire. However, here he encounters Ahsoka Tano, who defeats the Inquisitor without any lightsabers, using the Force to pull out the kyber crystals in his lightsaber, just as he toggled the rotation feature which caused it to explode, killing the fallen Jedi. Interestingly, Ahsoka would use these two kyber crystals for the dual lightsaber she would make after purifying said crystals, allowing the blades to appear white. I cover this in my video detailing the different colors and types of lightsabers. Once a Jedi of the Mirialan species who trained with Yoda in Aayla Secura, the seventh sister survived Order 66 and soon joined the Empire. However, she was not an Inquisitor who joined willingly like the fifth brother, and was more like Trilla in the sense that she was turned into a Jedi hunter, embracing the dark side. Early on in the days of the Inquisitorius, the seventh sister would duel a new Inquisitor named Iskat Akaris, later known as the 13th sister, in the training pit in their headquarters on Coruscant. In the close duel, Akaris would defeat the seventh sister by crushing her fingers with the Force, requiring her hand to heal in a Bacta cast. It's important to note that during the duel, Akaris would send a group of spidery-like creatures towards seventh sister to overwhelm her, giving her the idea to use ID9 secret droids in a similar manner, with the addition of using them to track or spy on targets. It is these droids she uses to exact revenge on Akaris by using them to electrocute her to the point where one of her hearts stopped functioning, and she required recovery in a Bacta tank. I already mentioned a few of seventh sister's missions, such as her journey to the abandoned Republic Medical Center in 4BBY, and her task with fifth brother on Takobo, among others. Something I didn't mention when exploring the fifth brother was one of his and seventh sister's assignments on Lothal, where they would find a Jedi temple of Yor. Inside this temple were Kanan and Ezra, however they would escape after the Inquisitors are distracted by manifestations of Jedi temple guards, one of which bore a resemblance to the Grand Inquisitor. As with fifth brother, seventh sister would meet her destruction on the Sith planet of Malachor, when Maul dispatches of her after Ezra hesitates to eliminate the Inquisitor himself. Aside from the fact that he was a Jedi, of course, there isn't much we know of concerning the eighth brother other than the task that he was given, to hunt down Maul on Malachor. He would recklessly set out for the former Sith Lord after fearing that Maul might have acquired a Sith holocron from inside the Sith temple, a holocron desired by Darth Vader. Attacking Kanan and Ezra, he would also be met by Ahsoka and Maul himself, soon leading to a battle against those four alongside fifth brother and seventh sister. Being outmatched, the eighth brother attempted to use his damaged lightsaber to flee, utilizing its rotating hilt to fly off, though it would completely malfunction and cause him to plummet to his demise. Formerly a Jedi Knight of the Republic, Masana Tide, a large Dautin, was captured after Order 66 and made into an Inquisitor. The ninth sister would also lose an eye to Vader during training. She would later travel with the Dark Lord to the planet Kabaria after receiving information on a supposed Jedi in a bar. Vader orders her to stay outside and assist him if he contacts her. However, upon entering the premises, he is ambushed by the Chass, a family of bounty hunters looking to capture the bounty on Vader's head. This bounty was anonymously submitted by someone in the Republic Executive Building on Coruscant. An ion grenade would be set off, rendering everyone's weapons but their own useless. They would also destroy Vader's current lightsaber hilt, formerly belonging to Jedi Master Kirak and Fila, resulting in Vader contacting the ninth sister and ordering her to bring him her own lightsaber. However, she would act as though her communications device was damaged via the ion grenade, leading to Vader accusing her of placing the bounty on him, which she denies. He takes her lightsaber and proceeds to pursue the family, catching up to and killing them. While attempting to land on Coruscant with the ninth sister, Vader discovers the clearance codes not working due to their transmitter being blocked, and the ship is soon attacked by planet defenses. After a crash landing, Vader learns that Colonel Baraki is one of the Imperials who placed the bounty, resulting in Vader of course killing them. He later learns that this was the plan of Sidious, designed to test Vader's abilities. After the mission to Mon Cala I previously mentioned, where she would lose a leg to sixth brother, the ninth sister would travel to Braca with the second sister, the beginning of her rivalry with Cal Kestis. The next time she meets Kestis would be on Kashyyyk, where after being driven away on her TIE Reaper by the Shio bird, she faces Cal atop the origin tree. This duel would result in her losing yet another limb as Cal cuts off her right hand, force pushing her off the nest of the Shio. While Cal was under the impression that she was completely finished, she did indeed survive, and in the meantime, while harboring great hatred and a strong desire for revenge against Kestis, would assist the seventh sister in tracking down a problematic Jedi named Tenzu Run. In 9BBY on Coruscant, she would once again encounter Cal Kestis, though this time she would officially meet her demise as Cal defeats her and beheads her, setting Masana Tide free. The next Inquisitor is one that actually held the rank of Jedi Master during his time at the temple, this being Praset Dibs. Dibs would hold the title of 10th brother during his time in the Inquisitorius, but before we cover that, he does have a bit of history as a Jedi. In the earlier stages of the Clone Wars, Praset Dibs would join Mace Windu on a mission to the planet Hisric, along with Kit Fisto and Risa Mano. However, sometime into the mission, Dibs would confront Windu and announce that the Jedi shouldn't be used as pawns in the war, making accusations against the Jedi Council and even Windu himself. Mace would disregard these claims, which ultimately angered Dibs, as he believed the Jedi had become arrogant arrogant and inconsiderate towards the casualties across the galaxy. Subsequently, the future Inquisitor would ignite his blade and incite a duel with Master Windu, who ended up defeating Dibs and bringing him into the council, believing it best for them to decide his fate. He was sentenced for treason, though Windu would convince the council to be merciful and allow Dibs to be placed on probation, allowing him to be rehabilitated. The blind and former Jedi Master would continue his work in the archives until the night of Order 66, where he would join the Empire and utterly fall to the dark side. Once again, I already covered the mission to Mon Cala with Vader, and I also mentioned his death via the clones who were tricked by Farron Barr into executing Order 66. Despite having an intimidating and mysterious design, the next Inquisitor is one that we know very little about other than the fact that he gets completely destroyed by Ahsoka Tano, this being the 11th brother. In 18 BBY, while under the guise of Ashla, Ahsoka would hide in a village working as a farmer, transporting bales of hay, when another worker reports her presence to the Empire after she reveals hints of being a Jedi. The 11th brother would promptly arrive on the planet and engage in a duel with Ahsoka after burning down some of the settlement. However, as I said, the duel doesn't last long at all. The next two Inquisitors will discuss together, as their stories that we know of essentially completely intertwine. The two Inquisitors here developed a romantic relationship and eventually tried to flee from the Inquisitorius, though we'll get to that later. One of them, known as Iskat Akaris, who was born around 40 BBY, would be given the title of 13th Sister, and the other simply went by Tualan Yaluna, who was born between 42 and 35 BBY on Ryloth. Both would live in the Jedi Temple and develop a friendship there, which was strengthened after Tualan acted as the only supporter for Akaris following her incident where she unintentionally pulled down a column, crippling one of her friends who subsequently had to leave the Jedi Order. Akaris and her master would travel the galaxy, purchasing texts for the Jedi Archive, until she came upon a text that radiated with darkness. Akaris desired to have this text read, but her master warned her that Sith texts were not to be read, and rather were kept solely for the purpose of preventing anyone else from studying them for iniquitous intentions. There was another incident during training where Iskat was dueling another Padawan and overheard a spectator mock her skill and mention her friend that she permanently injured. At this, she lost control of her emotions and slashed at the Padawan she was training with. Tualan was there and held his friend back, preceding her marching out with tears in her eyes. Shortly after this occasion, Akaris and Tualan would join many other Jedi in the first battle of Geonosis, after which they would be knighted alongside a group of Padawans, including Anakin Skywalker. Their first mission as Jedi Knights would be given to them by Adi Gallia and Grandmaster Yoda, who informed them they would be traveling to the mountainous planet of Thule, where they would destroy a separatist droid factory after obtaining data from it. After assignments on Algathon 3 and Frong, the two would be caught in the midst of Order 66. However, instead of their clone captain instantly turning on them, he shows Akaris a hollow projection of Darth Sidious, who offers her a chance of survival if she joins the Empire. Despite this meaning she would leave Tualan to die to the clones, she accepts and departs aboard a shuttle, not wanting to join the Jedi in their downfall. Tualan's rage at this betrayal kept him alive after being gunned down, and he was tortured into becoming an Inquisitor after they discovered that he had survived. After a merciless duel between the two, Tualan would get his revenge by stabbing Akaris in the chest, and leaving her behind as she did to him, though he would miss both of her hearts, leading to her survival. Now, there is quite a bit more regarding these two, most of which you can read in Rise of the Red Blade, but I don't want to make this video longer than it's already going to be. I will say that they do make up during a mission after getting even. Earlier, I mentioned Vader's hunt for Eth Koth and the child that the Inquisitors were searching for. It is Iskat who locates the child, and she allows the mother to leave with her child after she pleads with the Inquisitor. However, after she is seen doing this by the other Inquisitors, she uses the Force to take the child from its mother just before they leave the planet. While in the headquarters on Coruscant, Iskat and Tualan are interrupted by Vader, who senses their relationship, something he believes to be a weakness. It also doesn't help that the fifth brother informed Vader of Iskat's actions while he was dueling Eth Koth. The two of them attempt to escape, planning on living a free life away from the Inquisitorius, though they are soon killed by Vader, who uses the Force to make them impale each other with their lightsabers. Finally, we of course have the Grand Inquisitor, a former Jedi Temple Guard from Utapau who acquainted the other Inquisitors with the Empire and their roles within it. Apart from being at the trials of Ahsoka Tano and Barriss Offee, the soon-to-be Grand Inquisitor developed a hatred for the Jedi librarian Jocasta Nu, as she constantly declined his requests to read into the secrets of the Archive. Having lost faith in the Jedi, he would join Palpatine following Order 66, being assured that he would be able to read anything he wanted in the Archives. While in the very Archives, he would encounter Darth Vader, neither of them knowing they were were on the same side and subsequently beginning a duel, though Palpatine would intervene and introduce Vader to the new Grand Inquisitor, and later the other Inquisitors as well, giving his apprentice command of the Inquisitorius. Soon after this, the Grand Inquisitor would be approached by a sneaking Jocasta Nu as she tries to escape with a holocron containing a list of Force-sensitive children. Jocasta and the Grand Inquisitor duel, and he mentions to her how he was once a Jedi who she denied access to concerning the secrets held within the library. Vader kills Jocasta soon after this. It is the Grand Inquisitor who would lead Luminara unduly to her capture and death in the Spire on Stygian Prime, where he would later use her body as bait for other Jedi who may fall for the ploy of rescuing the former Jedi Master. Kanan and Ezra would fall for this trick in their many encounters with the Grand Inquisitor, though they managed to escape. The crew of the Ghost in general would be a major problem for the Inquisitors and the Empire as a whole. He would have his final confrontation with the two Jedi on the Sovereign, an Imperial-class Star Destroyer where Kanan defeats him and he falls to his death below in the exploding reactor of the ship. Something interesting to mention is the fact that Maz Kanata would come to own the helmet of the Grand Inquisitor as part of her vast collection of trinkets. Instead of passing on from the mortal world as most would, his flaming spirit would be kept to serve the purposes of Darth Vader, being stationed on Tempest in a High Republic Jedi outpost. Here he would prevent anyone from leaving with knowledge available there, though when Luke Skywalker journeys to the outpost, he fails at stopping the young Jedi from taking a new lightsaber. This battle between Luke and the Grand Inquisitor is sensed by Vader, who travels to Tempest after Luke flees and chastises the Inquisitor for his failure, stating that he will remain in the service of the Sith eternally. Alright, hopefully you guys enjoyed and perhaps learned something new. Have a great day. See ya.